I quite like buying things from auction, not just cameras. I've bought all sorts of things in the past. But one of my first auctions I went to was in 2004, and the camera I got my eye on in this auction was the Yashica Mat, and I bought it. I think I bought it for about £60, and it was a brilliant camera, and I used it for years. Unfortunately, about 5 years ago it began to fail on the gears, and I will talk about that later. But the camera I'm talking about today is the Yashica Mat, and it's the Yashica Mat 124G. Now the 124G was the last one they produced, and I think it was between the years of about 75 and 72. I think they produced it up to about 86. And here we have the Yashica Mat 124, and the Yashica Mat was a development, obviously, of the previous Yashica Mats, which were very firmly based on the Rolleiflex system, and they were incredibly popular cameras for budding professional photographers. Some professional photographers used them. They were not particularly cheap, but they were a lot cheaper than the Rolleiflexes, and the lenses are not bad. Lots of people writing at the time sort of said, okay, it's not up to the Rollei standard, but it is a very usable lens, and they always said it was a very good lens at f8. And I've got a previous video on the plain Yashica Mat, but I'm talking about with this 124. Now, let's just have a look at the function of the camera. To actually get it out of the case, you just pull these little things out the top and gently take it out. And I'm checking there's no film in here, and there's not. So to open the back, you go to O for open. And this catch is very similar to the Rolleiflex. And there we have the camera, the back. Now, I've always loaded these straight over, but I just wonder, and I'm sure someone will catch, and that's what I would actually do, but I did just wonder now, thinking about it, whether it should go under, because the Rolleiflex has to go under, and if it doesn't, the counter won't work. But I've always done it straight over, and the counter has worked without any problem. So you obviously have your take-up sprue here, your film here, and you wind on until you get the start line by this red dot here. When you've got the start line there, you close the camera carefully, and you wind the crank until it comes to number 1. Now, the mat apparently referred to the automated crank handle. That is what the mat apparently is referring to. Well, so I've been informed. Now, the use of this camera is, again, very, very similar to the Rolleiflex. We have the nice look down twin lens here. We have the adjustments for shutter speed and aperture on the side, and the key thing is that when we look down we can easily see what the aperture is. So I'm looking at f4 now, and what the shutter speed is. So we've got really easy use of the camera, right? And focusing on the side here. And the meter on here, the meter switches on when you bring up the viewfinder. So as soon as I bring up that viewfinder, the meter comes on, little battery on the side there, and basically we set the ASA, and when we alter either shutter speed or aperture, when it's correctly exposed, the needle will line up with an indicator. You've got a needle and an indicator, and you want those two to line up. So you focus here, and the crank has all automatically set the shutter, so you can then press rind on. Okay, and that is basically the Yashica mat. Nice and light. As I said, you might be able to tell from the tone of my voice, I really like these cameras. A slight issue was the gears. They had a sort of polyester gear, and these can fail, and I've had them fail on me. Apparently the thing to do is make sure that once a month you take the camera out and make sure you wind it a few times, and then apparently the gears will operate for longer, or so I've been told. I'm just thinking anything else. Oh, this particular, the 124, as I said, was a later one. What I wasn't completely convinced by the hand. It felt to me not quite the build quality of the previous ones. I might be wrong there, but to me it just didn't quite feel as nice as the early Yashica mat. Having said that, it was a joy to use. Let's see what the results were like when I took it out. The first image was taken on a walk through the fields near Dorchester, and it's a bit of a plain landscape here, but the photo is fine, and these are again in the similar fields, and it's sharp, it's clear, it's exactly what I would expect. Plus, I was really pleased with how the meter worked. I've used the Yashica mats a lot before, but not one as late as this 124G, and I must say the meter worked without any problem. As soon as I realised that, as soon as I put the hood up, then the meter was operational. And again, it even coped with quite difficult situations like shade, but as you can see with this one by the river, it's nicely exposed and it's sharp. This is in the churchyard of Stinsford, where the author Thomas Hardy is buried, and again even against the light, the lens is working well. As I said earlier, this is a very capable lens. People always rave on about the Ray Reflex, which is a lovely camera, but this is a good alternative. It works well, it's sharp, it's clear, it's got all the attributes of the TLR. They aren't heavy, and they are, I think, a super camera for everyday use. It's a question of finding a good one. If you find a good one, buy and enjoy. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.